But from the perspective of evolutionary biology, that explanation reveals a massive gap. In the wild, entering a state where you are paralyzed and unconscious for 8 hours is incredibly dangerous. You become completely helpless. If the only goal of sleep was to save energy, evolution likely would have developed a safer mechanism, like resting the body while keeping the eyes open and the hearing alert enough to observe the surroundings. Today, this gap often presents itself as anxiety. When people jolt awake at 2 or 3 a.m. and cannot fall back asleep, they often assume they have insomnia or a problem with their nervous system. Nature forces us into this risky state because it is executing a non-negotiable process. Those 3 a.m. wake-ups are a byproduct of a survival mechanism that has been programmed into our DNA for thousands of years. Historian Roger Ekirch spent 16 years studying medical records and personal journals from the Middle Ages. He found that for most of human history, sleeping straight through the night in a single 8-hour block was almost unheard of. Our ancestors practiced segmented sleep. They divided their rest into 2 distinct phases, naturally waking up around midnight for an hour or 2 to talk, read, or pray before entering their second sleep until dawn. This ancient biological rhythm was shattered by the Industrial Revolution. When factories began operating, human rest was forced into a rigid time structure to accommodate daytime work shifts. The subsequent arrival of artificial light and the alarm clock further tricked the brain's internal clock, permanently severing us from our natural circadian rhythm. Your ancient nervous system is still running a program designed for a pre-industrial world, regardless of the artificial schedules we've built on top of it. To understand why the body demands this unconscious time, we have to look inside the skull to see the highly active maintenance cycle that begins the moment you close your eyes. In 2013, researchers observed a specific mechanism that acts as the brain's internal plumbing network. They named it the glymphatic system. As you enter deep non-REM sleep, the individual cells in your brain physically shrink by up to 60%. This contraction creates a vacuum, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to rush in and wash away toxic metabolic waste and proteins that build up during your waking hours. Sleep is an aggressive physical power wash. It is a biological requirement to prevent the brain from suffocating under its own toxic byproducts. After moving through the cycles of deep sleep, a sudden biological shift happens. You enter REM sleep, and the brain's electrical activity spikes and match the intensity of being fully awake and solving a complex problem. To manage this sudden intensity, the brain initiates a safety lock. It sends a signal down the spinal cord to paralyze almost all voluntary muscles. This paralysis protects the body while the brain creates vivid, hyperactive dreams, ensuring you don't physically act out what's happening in your mind. While your body is frozen, the brain performs synaptic pruning. It reviews the day's intake and actively deletes weak, useless memories, like the color of a stranger's shirt, to prevent storage overload. Simultaneously, the brain isolates critical data, like a new skill you practiced, and physically thickens those neural connections to cement them into long-term storage. Without this nightly deletion and reorganization, the human mind would collapse into an overloaded chaos of junk information. This biological maintenance directly shapes our identity. Dr. Matthew Walker at UC Berkeley has shown that REM sleep acts as a highly specific form of psychological therapy for daily stress. During this stage, the brain suppresses the production of norepinephrine, the chemical specifically responsible for stress and panic. Within this chemically calm environment, the brain forces the subconscious to replay the day's traumas, anger, and frustrations. This process acts as a filter. It decouples the sharp emotional pain from the raw, factual memory of the event itself. The common advice to sleep on it describes this specific neurological procedure that cools your emotional intensity and alters how you view an event. Every night, your brain selectively deletes memories and strips away emotional triggers. Because the neural structure you wake up with has been physically altered, you are stepping into the new day as a reconstructed version of the person who went to bed.